Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the people's channel, home of the BitSquad, the largest and greatest crypto community in all of the interwebs. This is Around the Blockchain. Coming to you 5:02 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. My name is DZ. You can catch me on NFT Alpha Show, and dare I say, we got some good lighting going on today. We're going to be talking about Bitcoin, the ETH merge, and Cowboys. Yes, the Dallas Cowboys. They're making a big crypto deal, and we're going to be doing it with the best panel we've ever had in the history of the show. I know I say that every time, but we keep eclipsing. So we're going to go ahead, start on the top right. She'll keep you in the know. She's always on the go. I'm talking about Wendy O. On that bottom right, let's just say when it comes to security, he is a whiz. We're talking about Mind Your Biz. Then on the bottom left, I got to meet him and ask for a selfie, and he didn't fail me. I'm talking about, of course, Altcoin Daily. And then on the bottom left, he's going to have that pitching arm winding, because later on, he's going to get a dub on that baseball diamond. I'm talking about Ben Armstrong. Are we going to stay? Tonight. We're going for the 3-0. That's going to be exciting. You got to check that Hit Network, some of those vlogs. You can see some great softball action. Can Ben hit a dinger? You got to subscribe to Hit Network to find out. But, yeah, like I said, Bitcoin, ETH, and the Cowboys. And we're going to get into that, some serious news. But before we do, I think it's time for us to check out these crypto markets. I think the pump is back. Oh, are we still feeling bearish? I actually want to refresh because it is kind of volatile at this moment. Yeah, this is looking legit. This is looking real. We have Bitcoin above 41,000, Ethereum above 3,100. It looks like maybe a little bit of reversal, but Wendy, I'm just gonna bring it to you. You're the Fibonacci expert. You always keep us in the know, as I said. Was this kind of, were we just oversold and due for a bounce back to, a certain fib level? Or is this maybe looking like, that was a short-term just, correction on our way up and to the right?
So I actually called on my show, because we do the Sunday morning live streams at 10 a.m. PT, but I called for a dip to $41,000 from this area over here. And we did, but I thought it was going to be a more volatile dip, like a straight swing wick low, one of those scam whip back up. And then I was like, okay, fine. This ended up happening, but I had a little bit nervous yesterday. I called for 37 because I was like, okay, we look like hot garbage, but we're starting to rebound. So if you take a look at the MACD, at the RSI, things are looking healthy. However, we do have a lot of resistance from 43,000 to approximately $42,000 here. So I want to see us kind of successfully flip above $42,000 and then kind of range between 42 and 45. So fingers crossed, fingers crossed.
All right, when I brought this up with Gareth Soloway on Monday, I too was expecting a scam wick. Was the scam wick just so baked in because it looked like it was just going to be perfectly telegraphed with the charts?
To be honest, when I think of a scam wick, those wicks that just they're just sharp down and the price rebounds.
It's 7 minutes. Yeah, it's like yeah.
But that's what I thought we were going to get to literally knock out everybody, because that's what they do. But we didn't get that. It was more like a more full body move down, which was really nice, because it was just really nice. But yeah.
All right. And let's talk a little Bitcoin. There's some whale action happening right now. The amount of whales are shrinking. We're, just over the past couple of weeks, but we're not talking about major numbers here. We're talking about, I think one whale levels, there's 96 that had above 10,000 Bitcoin. Now it fell to 91. It fell to 87. When you look at it on paper, it says, 5%, but, we're only talking about a handful of people here. And the people with, over 10K, it's fallen. This is just all in the last 4 days. So we're seeing, some of the whales, they're starting to capitulate perhaps, but some are saying, maybe they're just diversifying the amounts, what they have. Now, Mind Your Biz, do you think that there's any validity to that maybe these, you once you get past 10,000, now you're on a Glassnode thing, you got people watching you a lot more than just 9,900. You're on all these whale alerts. Do you think that might factor in? They just maybe want a little privacy, say, hey, stop watching my every move here.
Well, I don't know that it actually has to do with privacy so much. But before I dive straight into the answer, just want to say it feels great to be back on Around the Blockchain. It's always a pleasure being on the show. Thank you for having me back. As far as people seeking privacy and trying to get off these watch lists, newsflash, Bitcoin is public distributed ledger technology. you're never going to get privacy by using Bitcoin in its default state. So the only way you're going to be able to do that is to lock up some of your Bitcoins onto either second layer solutions, such as maybe Lightning Network, which even that is kind of doubtful, or going off chain into a private ledger or into, order book crypto, so to speak. But then it's not really yours anymore, right? You no longer control the private keys. As Bitcoin Zay likes to say, and I love the phrase, right? Not your keys, not your cheese. You need to have those private keys or it's not even really yours. You're not proving anything. So I don't know that it necessarily comes from a desire to be private with Bitcoin per se, DZ, but I do think that it is a problem. Like you said, it's funny. On paper, we look at it as like 5% and it looks like this, it's this really, really sweeping change, right? 1 out of 20 Bitcoin whales has left the building. But that is a problem, right? Sometimes we forget that Bitcoin and the broader cryptocurrency ecosystem, it is kind of a smaller club, really, relative to other massive asset categories. And this just kind of illustrates even more clearly why we have to be safe, why we do have to tune into people who know their technical analysis really well, and why we also do need to be tuned into sentiment analysis and fundamentals as well. We can't ignore any side of this crypto ecosystem, including mining and security. All of it affects the outcomes in the cryptosphere, and especially with Bitcoin, like you're saying, having so few people control such a large stake of the coin supply could be a problem. Now, that said, with Bitcoin, because it's proof of work, the people owning that big supply doesn't mean a thing when it comes to consensus or the direction of Bitcoin's future, right? And into the future, this won't necessarily sway the development direction of Bitcoin, only the price action of Bitcoin. So on the one hand, is it cause for concern? Yeah, maybe. Are the rich getting richer? Yeah, I mean, what else is new? But on the other hand, I don't think it's going to affect Bitcoin's development or its destiny in terms of becoming a reserve currency or helping people become more sovereign. So I'm not worried.
Okay. Well, thanks. Well, you brought up direction. You're also bringing up sentiment. Ben, I kind of want to ask you when it comes to the sentiment of what's going on here. It's a lot of things, looming on the horizon with, Bitcoin and crypto in general. We have the case with XRP. We have ETH 2.0. We have, Do Kwon. Are they slowing down purchasing? Do you think that, maybe these whales are setting up for, maybe some events happening in the near future? Or do you think, are you leaning a little bit towards maybe they're just kind of, maybe divvy out their holdings and, shrink the wallets a little bit here?
No, that's not going on. Where we are at in this market, and look, maybe this will become a meme. Like maybe Bitcoin will be $70,000 next week. But if you were watching the show this morning and you were looking at what Frank was showing with one of the, I think it was one of the RSIs or one of the EMAs, and I think it was the EMA. I can't remember what time frame it was, but he was showing that when we broke that EMA, that's when we got the big gigantic U shape at the end of December 2018. That was the peak of the bear market. Now we're holding on to that by a thread, and everything that we are seeing that is the evidence in front of us is telling us that's about to happen again. Now, is it going to happen again? Maybe not. A lot of times you see the evidence and the evidence is strong and that makes the market go whatever direction. But when the whales are making these types of moves, when we're seeing the technicals holding on by a thread, we're seeing the fatigue of the invasion, we're seeing the inflation numbers coming out, we're seeing NASDAQ slow down. We're seeing a lot right now, and none of it is extremely bullish for Bitcoin in the short term. We have the ETH merge now delayed. That was going to be our last gasp, our last hurrah. It feels like people better buckle up for the next several months until probably the fall.
All right, now Altcoin Daily, you've been around. I was standing next to you, Bitcoin Miami. I saw many people come up to you and say, hey, I've been watching for a long time. I appreciate what you guys are doing. Let's say we do head towards, we're below these EMAs, these crucial levels. Let's say it does turn bearish. Is this bear winter, if you want to call it that, going to be different from, say, the 2018, the 2019? Do you see that people are going to, lose interest in droves like they did last time? Or do we have a more of a solid foundation? Because I think we can all agree that Bitcoin is a less risk-averse asset than it was, 4 or 5 years ago.
Hey, DZ. Great to be here. Great to meet you at Bitcoin Miami. Great to meet everybody. It was awesome week. Got to meet so many people who watch our shows and just Bitcoiners in general. I really liked what BitBoy had to say previously about, maybe potentially some short-term problems or even just some more chop solidation for the next few months. NASDAQ showing some weakness. I think there's tons of long-term bullish indicators. You asked me, do you think it's going to be similar to 2018, 2019 bear market? I don't think so, because Bitcoin really didn't have a huge blow off top last year. We 3x from the all-time high last year. Been in chop solidation forever. I'm personally bullish, long-term bullish. I mean, we got Sailor continuing to buy. We got Do Kwon of Terra continuing to buy and laying out the playbook for if other altcoins want to do this in the future. We do have, continued money printing, which, makes people seek stronger assets, increased censorship in the world, just plenty of many things that lay out the bull case for Bitcoin in the long term. And, I tend to think, Bitcoin cryptocurrency really reached, a new paradigm in the mainstream just, over the last couple of years. And I just tend to think that more people are going to want to opt in 1%, 2% as time goes on. Now, when the headline is that this whale is moving money around, this whale is possibly holds less Bitcoin. There are many different ways to look at that. I think a different way to look at that, if we're thinking about the long-term future of Bitcoin, is, a lot of people complain that, whales hold all this Bitcoin. And in the beginning with Bitcoin, only like 100 people or 1,000 people held the Bitcoin who mined it. And over time, because Bitcoin is proof of work, the Gini coefficient, the distribution of Bitcoin over many people, gets better over time. And this is one of the ways in which that happens, where people who took a risk a long time ago and had a lot of Bitcoin sell when it's advantageous for them. And, people who want to take the risk now can buy it. Hopefully, as time goes on, Bitcoin gets more distributed. So just to sum up, still long-term bullish.
All right, I agree with you and the Mandalorian. This is the way. This is how we're going to get there. Well, let's talk a little bit of ETH. We're bringing up, ETH 2.0 delayed yet again. You can go ahead and gloat, BJ, the Cardano maxi over here. So, once again, it got pushed back. It got pushed back to Q3 this year. At one point it was 2020, then a while back, Vitalik said, definitely not going to be this year. Then it was 2021. I remember it was going to be December. Then it was going to be Q1. And now we're here in Q3. So, but still searches for ETH merge is at an all-time high. People are still definitely, wanting this to happen. They're saying before the end of June this year. I mean, that's going to, we'll find out. I'm going to say probably push back past that. Birthday's in middle of July. Hey, Vitalik, it'd be a pretty good birthday gift if you want to give that to me. Now, Wendy, is this news, manifesting itself on the chart? Because we're up, right now we're up about 3.6%. We have Ethereum up. Now we know, obviously, Bitcoin goes up. Ethereum's probably going to go up, but are the markets just shrugging off this news? I mean, was this kind of, like no one expected it to be on time, even after the umpteen delays? Like, did the markets care about this delay at all?
Do you remember Justin Sun's infamous announcement of an announcement of an announcement that would go on and on and on for sometimes a month at a time?
Yeah.
Well, I think that that's the same scenario with Ethereum 2.0. One of the things I do want to let the audience know, when we're talking about tech, when we're talking about something that's being built that has kind of not really been done before, I think that people expect price to pump always, or dump always based off of news. Price does not equate to utility. Again, price does not equate to utility. So just because your favorite project is not pumping price-wise doesn't mean that people are not working behind the scenes. And I also think that we do need to give the folks over at Ethereum a little bit slack. Yes, it is annoying. Yes, it was supposed to be done like last year or in 2020, whenever they said it. But at the same time, if the developers, if they rush this, and something gets messed up in the code, that's going to impact your wealth in a more serious manner than a 10% move. And I think that Mind Your Biz could probably also attest to that, is that development takes time and you have to make sure you do it right.
Yeah, let's land on that. So they paused this after the shadow fork of this, basically got delayed here, Mind Your Biz. Now, I know, what the fork is going on here, Mind Your Biz. Why do you think this is the delay? I mean, was this on purpose? I mean, is this a smart thing to do? Are you applauding their decision to say, hey, let's iron out, all the kinks before, we just try to release this? This isn't just some BSC coin we're talking about here. We're talking about ETH 2.0. So is this a smart move in the long run? I mean, you would know better than we would when it comes to the technical details of this part.
Well, I appreciate your confidence in me. First off, thank you. Thank you for that. Clearly, the background qualifies me to speak with authority on roadmaps and delivery for Ethereum. So
Galactic
thank you
brain.
for showing respect where it's due. Bruh, we live in the cosmos. This is crypto, right? We're aiming for the moon. We try to go past
not
to
the
Mars.
coin. Not the coin, sorry.
I mean, if you want to go IBC, gang, we can go there. But right now, to keep the main thing, Ethereum having a roadmap kind of meander a little bit. This is not an uncommon thing. But I will say, I wish I had put money down on a bet against Michael Carter from Bitsby Trippin, because he laid out a different scenario, and I said, nope, that's too optimistic. It's going to take longer. This stuff does just take a time, take a while. Like Wendy mentioned before, development, if you want it done right and you're working with people's money, you can't just, air quotes, move fast and break things like was done with Web 2.0. We've got billions upon billions locked up in staking contracts, locked up in liquidity provider positions on Uniswap and on these various, and Curve and various other value-added ecosystems within Ethereum, and then, of course, bridging from Ethereum into other EVM chains. We can't just YOLO in and hope that everything turns out for the best. You got hundreds of billions overall with the TVL. And in fact, when it comes down to DeFi also, Ethereum, it just takes it. Over 55% of all DeFi value locked is on Ethereum still, even with the stiff competition from, as you mentioned, BSC with low fees and all these other chains that came up as alternatives. Ethereum is still the king daddy of DeFi. We can agree on that. And even if you don't agree on it, the numbers are against you, right? The facts just speak otherwise. If Bitcoin is the king daddy of hard money in cryptocurrency, then Ethereum is absolutely the king daddy of DeFi. So yeah, we do need to let this play out with the amount of time that it takes to get it right. That said, I mean, I think it's optimistic to believe that even what Bako is saying, or Tim is saying on Twitter, is going to be definitively the roadmap delivery of ETH 2.0 and the Beacon Chain merge. I think we're in for a very long, bumpy ride for the Beacon Chain merge to actually happen. And then beyond that, to get all the functionality of ultimately when the Beacon Chain merge goes not just proof of stake, but also all of the added functionality of shards and all the other throughput that they're talking about having delivered to Ethereum. I think that it's going to be a much, much longer delivery. Now, with what Wendy mentioned about an announcement of an announcement of an announcement of an announcement, I'll say that from an investor standpoint, it's great because we can sell the revolution, right? We can sell the rumor for years. And hopefully that turns out in our favor, with where all of us watching the show and commentating on cryptocurrency, where we live in crypto, in getting new investor interest into the space for a while. Hopefully, for all of us in a consolidation action and consolidation motion, hopefully we got a bit longer before it is finally delivered. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at least a little disappointed that they just haven't been able to get their poop in a group.
All right, I'm going to have to steal that one. Now, Altcoin Daily, let's just say once ETH 2.0 emerges, it's going to shock the landscape when it comes to these layer twos. Will they be able to compete? Or as Benjamin Cowan would say, are all these L2s going to bleed against ETH once it finally goes live?
The L2s or the alternative layer ones?
I'm sorry, yeah, the alternative layer ones here. It was written funny.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, first of all, the news is that Ethereum merge got pushed back. It was expected around June. Now it's going to get pushed back a little bit further. Was this an expected pushback for those of us who've been in cryptocurrency for a while? I think we all kind of expected it. Ethereum has done it often. Wendy cheekily made the comparison about, things Justin Sun used to do with Tron back in the day. I thought that was an apt comparison, but I would like to give the Ethereum community and the devs just a little bit more credit. Back when Ethereum was launched in 2014, I think at least by the year after, it was on their original, roadmap that they were going to switch to proof of stake. And I wasn't around back then, but, I think around 2014 to 2019, when they kept pushing it back year after year, a lot of people thought it was a Justin Sun kind of thing. Things changed for me. And I think a lot of people, when we saw Ethereum launch the Beacon chain in 2020, this chain that's running parallel to Ethereum's proof of work chain, and this is, the merge that is coming up. So with the Beacon chain in 2020, with the IP 1559, with the Shadow hard fork you just mentioned to stress test everything, to me, it is the merge to proof of work is definitely going to happen. I think a lot of people would agree with that. Back then in 2014, we really didn't have a lot of clear examples of proof of stake working. And now there are many examples of this. So I think, it's definitely going to happen. And those of us who are in crypto right now, who realize that cryptocurrency is going to be here for a long time, will get to tell our kids that we were around when Ethereum was proof of work. Now, as to answer your question about these other layer twos, I think there's room for everybody. I think, we don't really know, but I certainly think in the midterm that there's room for everybody to try and compete. They can make choices that Ethereum can't make. They can move a little faster. They can break things a little bit harder, and perhaps they can specialize in certain things. We'll see. But
we're not trying to take your piece of the pie. We're trying to grow the pie. Now, Ben, I was going to ask you a question on this, but I want to get to the Cowboys because I want to give you time to really give your take here. I believe it's your second favorite football team, of course, after the Falcons. Kidding, of course. But the Cowboys, yes.
My second favorite football team. My second favorite football team is whoever plays the Saints every week.
All right. Well, Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, they have signed a deal with blockchain.com. They have a sponsorship deal. Of course, one of the world's, most lucrative franchises, no matter how you feel about it. Full disclosure, I was a huge Cowboys fan back in the 90s. I grew up in Texas, and I was an Oilers fan, and I saw Bud Adams rug pull Houston. I had no home. The Texans weren't going to be there for a few years, so I became a Cowboys fan. Michael Irvin, plus I'm not even going to make a joke about that, but I like Michael Irvin. I like Emmitt Smith. I like Troy Aikman. Really, really good team. I even like Neon Dion. But yeah, just for some reference here, we don't know the exact number just yet. Crypto.com, that was a $175 million deal for 10 years. Red Bull Racing and ByBit, that was $150 million for 3 years. Rumors are this is about $50-70 million for this year. And they're saying you won't be able to escape crypto and blockchain.com even on a Sunday. Now, Ben, does this make you want to buy a Cowboys ticket? And more seriously, though, how does this benefit the Cowboys franchise and, blockchain.com?
Yeah, well, let's start with this. It's funny. We just asked this question on the show yesterday, which was what football team, what NFL team will be the first to make a partnership? And we were looking at stadium naming rights. And I said, the Carolina Stadium, I don't know if they have plans for the next, naming rights. I don't know if they have somebody in line for that, but it makes sense. It would be a crypto company there taking it away from Bank of America. But we weren't looking at just partnerships. But it's funny. We just had this conversation yesterday on the morning show. And, today we get this announcement. Obviously very appropriate. Like what is the more, what is the biggest global brand in NFL? It's obviously the Dallas Cowboys, and Jerry Jones, a man who's a man of the people, a man who's ahead of the curve. I'll tell you this about Jerry Jones. He gets a lot of flack, but every person who has ever worked for him says he's the greatest human they've ever met. That's why people get in that Cowboys organization. They don't leave. So the man knows what he's doing. And I think actually, I can kind of relate to this a little bit. His loyalty is actually kind of his fault because he keeps people around that lose because he likes them, But anyways, I think that what this boils down to is, are we going to see blockchain.com become a household name because of this? Well, FTX and crypto.com have definitely become household names thanks to their partnerships with their respective sports leagues and sports stadiums. FTX, obviously, sponsoring the FTX Arena in Miami and MLB umpires. And then we have, of course, crypto.com, replacing the Staples Center. I think this is big. People cannot understate how important, people cannot overstate how important these sports league partnerships are for crypto. This gets crypto in front of a demographic that may not be prone to want to invest in crypto or may not be prone to be super interested in nerdy things, as I call them. And I know a lot of people who are sports fans who have talked to me about crypto.com just based on the naming rights alone. So I think this is big for all parties involved. I think we're going to see more NFL teams partner. We'll probably see an official exchange of the NFL. We'll see stadium partnerships coming soon because nobody's got more money to spend than crypto folks.
Yeah, and not many have more to spend than Jerry Jones. Now, Wendy, you're always fighting for the underdog here, and I'm going to tell you, just kind of I don't want to say controversial take, but maybe, one people don't think of. In this scenario, the players are the underdog, even though some of them, might have $1 million contract. The rate in which they file bankruptcy after they're done playing, it's alarmingly high. There's a lot of issues with health, and but I mean that's a whole nother conversation. But when it comes to this, do you think that the players, a regular Dallas Cowboy, sitting on the bench, do you think this is going to create friction for them creating their own brand deals when it comes to any kind of crypto project? Do you think that the organization NFL or the Dallas Cowboys are going to kind of hamstring what they can do, on their own?
Well, of course they are. I mean, we see this with college sports. We see this with all different types of sports. Anytime you sign a contract, especially with UFC fighters, anytime you sign a contract with like this big organization, you're kind of like an independent contractor under them with stipulations. So I like the fact that these big companies are sponsoring like the Dallas Cowboys and, getting arenas and whatnot. But I would like to see some more support for the athletes. And people can argue all day long about what these athletes are doing with their money, how they're taking care of their health, etc. But at the same time, these guys are out here and they're essentially putting, I don't want to say putting their lives on the line, but they're putting their health on the line, their livelihood on the line. And I think that there should be more awareness for that. But I am hoping to see some big crypto companies start to come in and sponsor specific athletes, just the way that, like, just as how Nike does. I think it would be a really, really cool thing to see. And I would rather see that money go towards the athletes and the organization, because organizations are cool, but at the same time, I care about the little guys.
Yeah, even though they might be really big. Now, Altcoin Daily, is this going to, be an issue for the future? Say I want to get some, Cowboys NFT or something. Moving forward, I mean, are we going to be in this scenario where there's 20 different platforms trying to sell 20 different NFTs? Do you think, every team is going to try to have their own storefront, maybe use different blockchains? Or do you see, maybe the NFL can wrangle everybody and get everyone under one umbrella?
Interesting question. In the future, are we going to have all these different platforms and blockchains and different NFTs for what organization partners with? I wouldn't think so, but it's possible. Hey, if any of us knew the future, we'd all be rich. I think the Crypto.com and Cowboys partnership, such a natural fit. I mean, from the big picture, it's awesome to see popular American brands and franchises partnering with cryptocurrency companies. This was something we could just hope for 4 or 5 years ago, let alone before that. What BitBoy said, sports people and crypto people, natural partnership. I mean, cryptocurrency is like for, guys who don't like sports, who still want to root for something, Team Cardano, Team Cowboys. Either way, I think there's no way this can't be, great news.
Hey, I think I'm team both of those. Now, last question here. Mind Your Biz, we're kind of talking about this is going to bring in the newer people. We say noobs, not any kind of disparaging way. We were all noobs at one point, unless you're Nick Szabo talking about cryptography in the 90s. When you first got introduced to crypto, you were definitely a noob. So is this going to be an attack vector for crypto? I mean, do you see, a lot of people getting targeted, maybe losing some money? Next thing you know, Steven Smith's, saying crypto's a scam. Can you see more problems than benefits, or is the benefits going to outweigh the bad here?
That's a tough thing to foresee as well. I think just like Aaron was mentioning before, if we knew the future, many of us would be, better off than we are now. So as far as like knowing whether or not people are going to get wrecked, OPSEC is going to be a problem, I think, for a lot of people who are coming into the idea of buying merch with crypto from whatever this partnership is. So I think there's going to need to be just a much bigger push for education from all of us on the panel, as well as from blockchain.com. And of course, from the Cowboys organization, going to need to be a huge wave of education that is blockchain specific. And so, I mean, as we know here, distributed ledger technology is, it's not that it's anti-privacy, it's just that it's not private by default. So yeah, if we do see merch sales that are attached to blockchain.com or that are done via blockchain sales, then yes, we're gonna need to have a lot of caution. Will people get wrecked? Potentially. But I'm gonna go out and just go out on a limb here, and if anyone from blockchain.com or the Dallas Cowboys organization is watching, I'm just gonna urge you guys, consider doing some kind of crypto back rewards with ticket sales, merch, and the organization, like right now. Those of us who are watching, those of us who know what is really possible with the blockchain and with this potential, with this movement forward, we're watching, right? We're watching you right now. And we're going to be urging you to do right by the fans, do right by the players, do right by everybody involved, specifically in terms of getting people exposure to this amazing asset class that has helped us live a better life over the last several years, right? The closer we've all gotten, at least on this panel, to cryptocurrencies, the better our lives have gotten. Full stop. There's no two ways about it. So with such a visible organization that people who may not be inclined to check out cryptocurrencies kind of already gravitate towards, with a brand like the Cowboys. The other one I can think of is that, like, no matter which state in the union you go to, there's always a local Raiders chapter, right? Raiders fan chapter, right? So it's like it defies logic, it defies reason. Everywhere you go, there's people are like, yeah, we love the Raiders. It's like, dude, do you watch them? Who knows? But you wear their merch. So with the Cowboys, same thing. You've got, in my opinion, you've got a social contract with these people who are buying your merch. You can help a lot of these people who, in some cases, wind up, living at average income levels or maybe below. You can help them get exposure to cryptocurrencies. So that's my biggest wish is the way you can prevent these, air quotes, noobs from getting wrecked, give them some exposure to cryptos in part of your ticket and your merch sales. It's an easy win for you, and you'll get a lot of us giving you free exposure. We'll be shouting it from the rooftops if you do right by your fans and your players that way.
And one parting message for Dallas Cowboy fans: never type your seed phrase. Never type your seed phrase. That is all we got time for, and it looks like Mind Your Biz. You got it. You took down the episode tonight, so feel free, leave us with some parting thoughts.
Well, hey, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me back on the channel. As always, it is a pleasure being just a member of this panel. Respect the heck out of the other panelists here, the awesome work that's done. If we all thought the same, then, well, we wouldn't learn anything new when we go to panel discussions like this. So appreciate you guys having me here. Go to sub.myb.lol to subscribe to my channel. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the other panelists as well. You're going to learn some amazing things from them. No one of us can cover everything. So appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
All right, and Jerry Jones, you know how to make that rare Michael Irvin NFT. You know what to do. That's all we got time for. Until next time, BitSquad. Easy out.